We just had another trade reported, which means I get to do this. Matt Barnes.
I'm too old for that.
Welcome.
Hey, at least I was ready for you. Almost made me pee off camera because I wasn't ready for the last one.
You know how you know when there's a trade? That's how. Oh my God.
She broke it.
The trade crank not working is the most disappointing part of the day. It's just untenable.
Touch my crank. That's what I think. It's still not working. I will not be foiled, Amin El Hassan. You have not gotten the best of me to think what would happen. This can go off a little, right, if we get a trade. And then I also think this can go off if we have a trade.
I told you these.
Step away from the desk.
I'm prepared. I'm just saying that I don't, right?
Counseling. She
Right?
needs some.
If something goes wrong, you need to always have a backup plan. I always have a backup plan.
You know what? You're getting
Remember
my
this.
bill for post-traumatic stress disorder.
Remember this. I'm just
The
saying.
cure was worse than the disease. I'm going to be honest.
I'm just saying the trade deadline has brought us so many good deals today. It has brought us some confetti. And Zach Lowe, welcome back. I'm happy to report we have the trade crank running again. You can breathe easy, Zach.
Yes. It's not the same without the trade. Bunch of cowards over there, by the way, scared of the trade crank.
Oh yeah, you come into the studio, Zach. You're satellite, big talker.
I'll come next year. I'll be like Matt
talker,
Barnes.
Zach.
I'll be like Matt Barnes. You can't make me flinch with that thing.
All right, Zach. Well, we'll see. Maybe we will arrange for a little surprise for you over there. Just wait.
please do.
Just
Please
wait. All right. I want to play for you, Zach, what LeBron James said about Andre Iguodala today. Take a listen, and then we will discuss.
How do I handle that news? I don't know. I mean, I saw it and was like, okay. I think it makes them a better team because of his championship DNA. You add that to that championship culture down there, so it helps them, right away.
All right. So, Zach, LeBron just saying, hey, nothing we can do. We're moving on. So how do the Lakers move on here?
I think you'll see the buyout market become the Lakers market, whether it's Darren Collison or I think Marvin Williams is going to be a hot name that's going to come up. I mean, that's really all that's left for them. They come out of this with a full roster. They wouldn't move Kyle Kuzma for Marcus Morris. And honestly, you can't really blame them. Kuzma is really the only young asset they have left in the tank, and they want to keep him. They need something for when LeBron gets old. So they'll be the kings of the buyout market, I think.
Okay, well, of those two names, and Marvin Williams, a name that some casual fans might not know, but actually very valuable. Can you explain why?
I mean, he's declined a little bit the last couple of years, but he's a power forward who can shoot threes and guard a lot of different positions. He competes like all hell. He's a beloved locker room guy, won't shy away from a big moment in the playoffs. He can help teams. I think he's maybe become a little overrated, but he's a good player.
Zach, what was the biggest surprise move today? I mean, was it Drummond or was it D'Angelo Russell? Because both of those deals at the start of the day we didn't think were happening.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Russell Wiggins just because a deal that big with that many complicated pick protections and all that, it just didn't, it had the feel of something that they would talk about and back away and then the deadline would pass. The Drummond one, the return was shocking if you weren't paying attention, but Detroit had long ago, as of a week ago, resolved, we may just have to trade him for second-round picks. So I'll go Golden State, Minnesota as the surprise winner.
Zach, I want to ask you about the Sixers. You've done a lot of reporting with them this year. Did the moves they make, were it enough? Do you expect them to go in at the buyout market? And what about the team chemistry in that locker room?
They'll keep looking. I think the chemistry, when people say chemistry, I think the chemistry, like everyone gets along fine. But I mean, like Joel Embiid's comments this week about, well, I'm on the perimeter a lot. I'm spacing the floor. He's been saying that stuff for a year. And at some point, if the offense just doesn't work well enough, then I think there just becomes a little bit of fraying. But look, they bet big on defense. They bet big on their top 5 or 6 players, and they're just going to see what this team has. I mean, they play Milwaukee tonight. They built their team to face Milwaukee. Let's see how they play tonight. Maybe they'll get motivated and play a little better, but they're just not, they just need to be better. They're not good enough right now. And I think the Golden State guys they got will help them. I think Burks will help them especially.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, they won't have those guys with them tonight. It's going to take a little bit while for all this to come through. Zach, thank you so much for joining us. Just be afraid as you walk back to your car.
No fear.
As you go anywhere
No
else.
fear.
There just might be some confetti, something like that. I'm just saying, you don't know. I'll just see. I don't know. All right. So again, the buyout market, Zach just said it. It's going to be the Lakers market. That is the team we are going to be talking about. So do you think Darren Collison, and he is the name that we've heard a lot, and just mentioned Marvin Williams as well, but let's stick with Darren Collison for a minute. Can he actually help this team after not playing basketball, not being motivated to play basketball at one point, and then coming back? And maybe the answer is yes.
Well, if the Lakers had signed Darren Collison last summer, I would have been very excited because I think he was a $10, $12 million player. He had a great season last year shooting the ball. And when you have LeBron James on your team, you need to shoot. But, I mean, Paul, guys at that age skip 9 months. It's just a real
tough
question.
to come off that type of hiatus. I mean, it's just like when I sat out for a good 4 weeks, getting back into the groove, it was tough.
Right.
Let alone this guy's sitting out 8 or 9 months. So I don't know how much he'll really help them. I mean, because at the end of the day, LeBron is going to have the ball in his hands toward the end of games and big playoff moments. I mean, well, are you going to have Darren Collison in the game at that point? I'm not so sure. Are you saving him to help prevent injuries for the rest of the season, to give some guys a break? You know, so I'm not so sure if he really moves the needle. I mean, they have a championship point guard there already in Rondo.
Yeah, but Rondo's struggled this year, Paul. You know.
Yeah, but we all know what's Rondo's nickname. Playoff Rondo.
Yeah, but it's
we all know that.
I think I don't know how much working out Darren Collison has done. I mean, we've been hearing about him coming back for a while. I'm going to assume he's been in the gym the last 2 or 3 months. If he can get even too close to what he was with Indiana yesterday, I think it's a great pickup for them because it is all about depth. And maybe it's not going to be in the playoffs per se, but you don't know if he gets in there and there's chemistry and he plays well. One of those other guys might be out of the rotation. I think it should be their priority.
The thing about it is, if you're the Lakers, you should be, at least. You should be thinking every single day about the Clippers. And when you play the Clippers...
Man, have the tables have turned in this town.
When you play the Clippers in a playoff game, you're going to have to assume that you're going to get 42 minutes or so from Kawhi Leonard and 42 minutes or so from Paul George. That's 84 minutes of 2 perimeter beast players you have to guard. And I don't think the Lakers have the defense to do it. I just don't think that they do. Now,
We started this season
if
talking
LeBron was
about
here, he would
that.
probably tell me to shut up and sit down. And I'm not saying he would be wrong, but that is where, and Darren Collison does not help that. Darren Collison does not help that.
Jackie makes fun of you because you're already sitting down.
He would push me even farther down.
And look, and they could answer those questions, absolutely. But to pretend it's not a question is a little bit silly. And this is where, by the way, I expect to see LeBron the recruiter again. There was a narrative for a couple years in this league, like, man, people don't want to play with LeBron, right? We saw Paul George not come to the Lakers when LeBron was there. We saw Kyrie leave the Cavaliers when LeBron was there, which, I mean, we're used to it now because it just happened and it's been years. But that was so unheard of, the idea that someone would walk away from a team that had been in the finals, the Batman-Robin combo, walk away from the greatest player of his generation and say, yeah, I'm not interested anymore. And LeBron said, just wait. Just wait till I get to a market and get in a groove with this team. You will see how I will recruit. And there is no question he recruited Anthony Davis from start to finish, made Anthony Davis want to come there, and then made Anthony Davis so comfortable. So that narrative has been flipped, and I am very interested to see LeBron James now the recruiter in this buyout market, because whether he helps them a little bit or he helps them a lot, Darren Collison or Marvin Williams or whoever they get, it's going to be a help. And so you want to get someone, and there will be other teams going for it. And again, in the buyout market last year, we saw the Lakers trying to be a player, and guys didn't want to come there.
No.
I think they are going to want to come there.
It's a very good point. That's a fair point.
Very different.
So.
And it's also the Lakers, too. I mean, it is LeBron, but it's also the Lakers.
Absolutely. All right. I do want to get back to the Sixers. We talked about it for a minute with Zach Lowe. Sixers agreeing to send 3 second-round picks to the Warriors in a package for Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson III last night. Now, yesterday we learned Al Horford thinks there's maybe a problem in the locker room, but he's not talking about it. We also learned that Joel Embiid saying there's a spacing issue on the court. There have been reports out of Philadelphia about maybe team meetings happening there, them trying to kind of get themselves together. Jackie, what do you think happens next for Philly?
Well, if I were in charge of the Philadelphia 76ers,
I'm waiting for this.
I would sit Joel down and I would sit Ben Simmons down and I would look at them both and say, I don't want to get rid of either one of you. The trade deadline has passed. We believe in both of you. You both have to give a little here. We've got to find a way to make this work. And then I would say to Joel, if you're hurt, if you're feeling beat up, let's sit you down for a bit. Let's get you healthy. Let's get you feeling better, because I do think he's struggling with a whole bunch of knick-knack things. And stop worrying about what everybody else is saying. Let's close the ranks, which I think the best teams always do. Get rid of the outside noise. Stop listening to it. The two of you, it's on the two of you. Figure it out. Now, the coaching staff has a lot to do with that, but these are two very proud, very talented players. They've got to figure out a way to play together, and I would even suggest that maybe the clock is ticking on that.
Paul?
Well, one thing I've learned about teams who are championship contenders or have championship on their mind, they don't let the media creep into the locker room.
Right.
You know, whatever problems that you have, you discuss it with one another, or you go to the coach, or you go to the general manager, but it has to be done internally. So when there's comments made by Al Horford or Joel Embiid, that's just like, you're like making a small situation so much bigger, because now for the rest of the season, when you're not doing well, this is all that's going to be talked about. Right. And we know how the media, can just really influence a locker room. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. I mean, don't let that outside influence interfere with what their goal was at the beginning of the year, and that's win the championship. But at this point, I feel like it's too late. It's crept in, and now it's like a virus. You're just like, it's going to be, and it's going to affect everyone.
How does it help if you have like a leader? Like who in your mind on that roster?
Well, that's the point, Jackie. So everyone who's sitting here and saying, like, man, I don't know how Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are going to function together. Guess what? We saw them function together. We saw them win a whole boatload of games.
Well,
guess who else was there?
Jimmy Butler. Yeah, but that,
and by
that
the
ship
way,
has sailed.
he was there being a glue person, telling it like it is, which bothered a lot of people, right? And look, Jimmy Butler comes with his own issues. He does not bring, candy canes and lollipops. It is not a perfect situation, but it was a situation that helped the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid pairing, which we know is not an X and O great pairing. And they decided to say, hey, we're going to give all that money to Tobias Harris, and that's not Tobias Harris's fault, but they're missing that ingredient, and they've got to figure out a different way to create it.
But I'm not 100% sure that Jimmy Butler wanted to stay there.
I'm not sure he did either, but
but that's a big difference. So if you say, Jimmy, we're prepared to give you the max.
That goes back to Kristaps Porzingis and the Knicks. If a guy doesn't want to stay there, is that all on the guy not wanting to stay there, or did you not create a situation where he wanted to stay
I'm not saying that, but if in fact it was his choice.
All of that, beyond everything you guys just said, they are 22-2 at home. They have consistently had the top teams come in there and pounded them at home.
Those fans, that is such a fun environment.
It is within them to do it. They can do it. Whether or not they can ever take it on the road is a question, but
that's what I mean.
If you're looking
for the sixth seed, you better be able to take it on the road.
They can do this.
I really think they got fixable issues. For one, if I were the coach, I would have looked to trade Al Horford, because they say when Joel Embiid was out, they played faster. I truly believe that Tobias Harris at the 4.
Nobody wants that contract.
No, but I truly believe Tobias Harris at the 4 is their best lineup. Because I do believe that Simmons and Joel Embiid can work well together. We've seen it. They have an outside-inside combination. I just think they need to play faster, and with a smaller lineup, they need to go Tobias Harris at the 4. And I believe if they did that more, they'd be a better
Here's the thing
team.
about Al, though. Here's the thing about Al. How did he really thrive with the Celtics? Pick and pop.
Right.
Yeah,
how often are they using pick and pop with Al? So that goes back to how, are you going to put Al in the best possible position to seed? I'm not sure they have.
Look, again, X and O's wise, you would not now start a team and say, I'm putting Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid together. No one would do that. But to pretend that it's just not fixable, it's not workable, that's
crazy.
just not acknowledging what we have already seen. We've seen it work. And yes, Jimmy Butler was a key ingredient and that ship has sailed, as you said, Jackie. He's gone. But that doesn't mean there can't be another ingredient that comes back in. Maybe it's coaching for Brett Brown. Maybe it's someone else taking a key in the locker room. Something has to happen, because that team is promising and they're not getting it done to the level they want to right now. We're going to take a very quick break, but coming up, we will break down the ramifications of the biggest trade of the day, D'Angelo Russell, Andrew Wiggins. You are watching The Jump.